This is the Walpole Conservation Commission, and it is 7 o'clock, and we have our first hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice is hereby given of the intent of Optima Hospitality Group LLC to amend the order of conditions for 990 Boston Providence Highway in Walpole. The proposed amended activity includes adjustments to the drainage calculations and modifications to the approved site plan, with a portion being in the 100-foot buffer zone. The request for an amendment letter and plans are on file in the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing in the above matter will be held in person, or was held January 8th, 2025, beginning 7:15. All interested persons are requested to be present. Contact the conservation agent with questions. So who's representing the applicant?
My name is Max Smith from Norwood Engineering Company. I'm an engineer with Norwood Engineering. I'm here with the applicant, David Beluga, and the construction manager, Jim Stuckel. Would you like me to make a brief presentation and then open it
Sure,
up
and which plan are you on, so we can be...
The plan that we're presenting is August 30th, 2024, revised September 28th, 2025. That, what you're looking at is a construction phasing plan by Jim Stuckel. I have that, and we can present that. There's a set of plans by Norwood Company, 20 feet set, revised 2/28/25. And then there's also a plan that looks, I have it, there's a comparison plan, blue and red lines.
Oh, I think we're on
And
that.
I'll get into that a little bit later,
Okay.
and that compares the two. So you should be seeing the comparison plan, which is dated,
If we look at the small
March
set, let's look at the small set.
that's the blue and red one. And then we have a set of site plans revised 2/28/25, and then we have the plan, the basic plan by Jim Stuckel's company that looks like it will be, sorry to throw a lot of.
Well, okay, listen, let me ask you something. If we eventually get to this blue and red one, that's what we really care about, right? So you're gonna do an overview on that?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
I was gonna give a brief introduction.
Okay,
uh,
because
so
right now we're
Both on board. Thank you.
on the blue and red one, but that's
Sure.
fine. Okay, you think this is it? Okay. So actually, if the blue and red is what we're really going for, go ahead and give us the overview.
Sure.
It's got, there's bigger plans than that.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, thank you. Sorry? Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, you need to actually hold the microphone. Patrick would like you to hold the microphone, so that people on TV can hear you.
Sure. Great, thank you. So the plan on the left, 7119, is what you approved previously. And as you can see, there's the existing Applebee's. This is on the intersection of Route 27 and Route 1. So there's the existing Applebee's, and you approved a proposed hotel. The wetlands and the buffer zones are in this part of the project. Today, we're here for a revised plan, revised 2/28/25. And again, we have the existing Applebee's, a hotel, where we've added a Chase Bank, and a cannabis dispensary and a retail shop. And I'd like to give a brief summary of what we did with the design, and then I'll get into the comparison overlay plan. But we've designed the stormwater for this, for a stormwater train that has deep sump catch basins, a contact treatment unit, infiltration chambers, and then a control structure. We've infiltrated much more than the state requirement. The state requires 4,300 cubic feet. We're recharging almost 47,000 cubic feet into this system. The reason that it's so much is that we have designed this year So we are not only balancing the peak rates of flow for the drainage, but we're balancing the volumes for all of the storms. So in order to balance the volumes, we had to increase the amount of our infiltration system, and that's why we have a lot more infiltration than the state requires. So we've also, and I'll show you in the comparison plan, that we have not increased any rates going to the wetland or any volumes going to the wetland compared to what you have, approved in the past. Some other things that we've accomplished is that we have the 72-hour drain down, we have 44% TSS pretreatment, 90% TSS removal, where 80% is required. We've also, in our submittal, have included a stormwater pollution prevention plan, long-term operation maintenance plan, construction period pollution protection plan, and we've done the stormwater pollution prevention plan, the SWIP. And now I'd like to go into the comparison plan. And we had a preliminary meeting with Landis, and we discussed some of the differences. But the blue lines on this plan represents what was approved previously in 2019. The red lines represent what we're proposing now. And I know it's kind of a lot to look at. We did take a lot of the lines out of the plan to try to make it a little bit clearer. But as you can see, previously you had, or we proposed to have some parking shown in the blue a little bit closer to the wetland than what we have now. The edge of the pavement in the red is where we propose now, and you can see the blue is a little bit, was a little bit closer to the wetlands. And let me get my notes, and I'd like to go over the summary. And I have the summary in the lower left part of the plan. But in this, for this proposal, we are increasing the impervious by 23,000 square feet, and we are increasing the total area of development by 5,000 square feet. But in each of the storms, we list all the runoff rates and the runoff volumes for the 1, 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm. And in each case, we have either zero difference between the two plans or a reduction. So for example, in the 10-year storm, there's a 0.14 CFS reduction of water going towards the wetland. In the 25-year, we have a 0.47 CFS reduction. In the 100-year, it's 1.23 CFS reduction. So we have more impervious, a bigger development area, but we're reducing the amount of water going to the wetland. We're not increasing what we're doing. And in a similar fashion, for the volumes, in the 10-year storm, we're reducing it by 0.08 acre feet. In 25-year storm, we reduce by 0.23 acre feet. And in the 100-year storm, we reduce by 0.21 acre feet. So even though we're increasing the size of the project, we are reducing the amount of flow going towards the wetland. We have put in a number of sedimentation and erosion controls. We have a sediment barrier going all the way around, including a compost sock, filter fabric, and construction fencing. We've designed on sheet 9, I believe, the a sedimentation basin, which will capture 1 inch times the developable area of runoff. So we will not have any erosion or any runoff going towards the wetland, except for we are proposing a berm to be built next to the proposed wall. But after the wall is built, everything will be pitched towards the middle of the site. So we have Jim Stuckel here, who can talk about construction sequencing. I know there's a lot to the presentation, but at this point in time, I'd like to open it up to any questions so I can specifically address what you have in mind.
Landis, Landis, do you want to start with comments?
So I don't have a lot of comments. I've been in the process, meeting with these gentlemen a couple of times to go over the differences. So you're infiltrating stormwater into the groundwater, so the reduction, it's the reduction in the rate of runoff, it's the reduction in the rate of runoff.
Compared to yes, there's a reduction in rate compared to what we proposed previously. There's two ways to look at it. You can look at the existing rate and the proposed rate. In that case, we've matched, and there's no increase. But also compared to what we did in 2019, there is a slight reduction in rate.
I guess
in
my
slight-
question was more towards, so there's a reduction in volume as well,
Yes,
but small,
small, yes.
okay?
yes.
Because we don't always want to take water away from the wetlands.
No.
But you are infiltrating it into the groundwater, so it should
Yes, it
still
is, it is. It's going into
support
the
the
groundwater,
wetlands. so,
yes.
Okay. So I've gone over everything, and I think they've done a good job to come back with their amendment and address issues. In my report, most of my comments have to do with if the commission issues an order of permission.
All right. So I think one of the things that I know Landis noted is that we want to make sure that trash is not blowing into the wetlands, and I think that you're dealing with that.
Yes, we did. During construction, there's going to be an orange construction fence. When the project is done, we've proposed a 4-foot chain link fence on top of the retaining wall, which is shown in yellow here. And then also along this area, which is near the driveway, we have submitted a planting plan that shows low-growth shrubs and some trees that will also prevent the trash from getting in there. I can review the plantings that we're proposing, but we did submit it, and I think Landis has looked at it, and I think we've discussed it in the past.
Yeah. Okay, good. Al, do you have a comment?
Well, first of all, I'd like to know what you propose for erosion control, because it looks to me like you'll be clear cutting the entire lot, and if we have a storm, whether it's a wind or rain, if it's all open soil, that's a problem.
Yes. Show one of my... So this is sheet 10, if people are following along. And we show erosion control going along the whole length of the site near the wetland. And this erosion control will be an orange construction fence, and then a silt fence, and then, a compost sock, and then a silt fence. In addition to that, we're showing a sedimentation basin, which is a large basin about 2 feet deep in the middle of the site, and everything will be pitching towards that basin. So during construction, all of the runoff flow will go towards this basin. It's not going to have a lot of flow going towards the wetland. With the exception, if you look at the lower part of this plan, we are going to be building a wall close to the erosion control, and we're going to build a berm near the wall, and then from the top of the berm, everything will flow back towards the sediment basin. So there'll be a small amount, and for a small amount of distance, a small amount of land, a small amount of time, where there will be some flow on a 2-to-1 slope that will go towards the erosion control, but it's not going to be the entire site just flowing downhill towards the wetlands.
Now, do they have plans to have a system for watering down the dust if we get into a dry, windy?
Yes, it is, and actually, that's Jim Stuckel. Jim is the construction manager, and Jim has some sequencing plans, and you have water that will, you have a water truck that will do that and spray it. Dust control truck, yes, yes. And I think one of the things I like about working on this project is Jim has been involved since day one in reviewing the plans with us and helping us with construction sequencing. A lot of times, we don't have the contractor on board. A lot of times, I'm just making presentations. But Jim is the construction manager that will be building it, and he will be using his equipment for the dust control.
Okay. That's all I have at the moment.
Okay, Medio?
The wetland line is 6 years old, is that still valid?
Yeah, it's very distinct.
Okay, all right, that hasn't moved at all, changed, okay.
Pretty much the
But the wall that you mentioned, how high is it again? How tall is it?
It varies. It's about 4 or 5 feet high.
Okay.
And again, what that does for us, and it's on the yellow, is that rather than sloping closer to the wetlands, there'll be a face of the wall on this side, and then it allows us to move the area of disturbance away from the wetlands.
Okay. And the fence goes on top of it, or?
Yes,
side of
we
it?
show a 4-foot chain link fence on top of the wall. There's a note there, and I can find it if I need to, but there's a note that says provide 4-foot high vinyl black chain link fence on top of the wall.
Okay, and, but the fence doesn't go any further to the left, or?
It doesn't. In this area,
Yeah.
we planted it with plantings, shrubs, trees to prevent any papers to go there. In this area, there is an area that has no fence, but we're farther away from the wetlands here, and so that's why we didn't carry the fence beyond the wall.
So why a fence on top of the wall then? Because it's low, why do you need an extra, a fence on the wall itself in addition to the wall?
Well, the wall, at the top part of the wall, near the
Oh, you're raising up
parking,
the-
yeah, we're raising it,
okay,
so
all
it'll
right.
be flush, and then, so you'll see, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
all right.
yep,
Gotcha.
understood, yeah, yes.
And we did talk about extending the fence all the way
Yeah.
to the Route 1,
Yeah.
and sort of decided that the vegetation would be better.
Okay.
Sometimes fences become
Yeah.
Yeah.
something to dump
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
So I wanted just like a good
Natural barrier.
live fence, we
Right.
refer to it as.
Yeah. Okay.
Vegetation.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay, Doug?
It looks like the dumpsters are right, I'm looking at the March 2025. Shows the dumpsters located right there at the edge, right where the edge butts up against the Interstate I-95?
There's dumpsters here,
Yeah,
and then there's dumpsters near the existing Applebee's. And, oh, I'm sorry, yes, by 95. Yes, it is by the 95 lot line, but 95, the actual pavement of 95 is a big distance away.
Okay.
Yes, yes, you're
Yeah.
right, yes.
and, let's see. How do they access the dumpsters if they're on the back side of the fence? I see a fence, and then it shows a fence, and then dumpsters, and then I-95.
There are some lines that show some zoning setback layouts, but the truck will be able to drive right into the dumpsters here. There'll probably be a fence, to keep people away from the dumpsters, but there's no fence in this area. There's some lines here, but that's the parking buffers and layout setbacks.
Okay, and the last question is, this section that's located in the town of Sharon, have they already approved it?
Yes, we have. We've been to the Sharon ZBA, and they've approved it. As a background, the Walpole Planning Board has approved it. We've had some meetings with the Sharon Conservation Commission. We're going to the Sharon Conservation Commission next week. But we've had some discussions. Phil, the Concom agent, met in a joint meeting with Landis and us, and so we think we've satisfied all of his comments, but we never know till we get to the commission. But we will be going to Sharon next week.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, Bailey?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from the audience? All right, anything else, Landis?
Yep, unless you guys want to hear any more information, they did, include a phasing plan. A lot of sites, has the whole entire site been cleared? I know a lot of sites been cleared for a while, not grubbed and stumped, but they did some clearing quite a while ago.
Yes.
You have to talk into the microphone, sorry.
Pardon me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Dave Luke, I'm the applicant. We cleared the site 2 years ago now, so there's some growth coming back, but it was cleared to keep the permits alive. And we, at that point, confirmed with Landis, we had the wetland lines confirmed, and there's a sock there before we started clearing. And the sock is still there, and we maintain it. I had them go 10 feet off the line, so there were no mistakes. So the clearing that you've seen is probably as much clear, well, for the wall, we're gonna have to clear another few feet of it, but the land is essentially cleared right now.
Okay, good. All right, so we might be closing the hearing.
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, so I move to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so what is that, 500? All right, want to talk about conditions?
Yep, I just, besides our boilerplate, having pre-construction meeting, the subsurface stormwater system should be observed and approved by the town engineer. Well, vegetation along the entrance adjacent to the wetlands shall be maintained as a live fence to prevent trash from blowing into the wetlands. Vegetation shall be replaced 1-to-1 if there's die-off. The parking lot and areas shall be inspected and trash removed weekly. Operation and maintenance plan for the stormwater management system shall be posted with a plan on site, wherever it's convenient, like sometimes it just gets tossed away and, it's recorded, but, I'd like on site for them to know what it is. The stormwater management responsible party shall notify the Conservation Commission yearly of the annual stormwater management inspection and cleaning. We should get a report, just that ties into our MS4 report, just all sites we really need to know that they're upkeeping their operation maintenance and annual cleaning. That's pretty much what I have.
Okay, good. So would someone like to, I will move that we approve this with those conditions. Would someone like to second it?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, 500.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy, Jack usually asks one of us to move the question. Is that okay for you to move the question? I'm just.
I think it is
procedurally.
okay. I think it is okay.
Jack usually asks one of us.
I know he does, but that's why I was hesitating for a second. No, I think it's okay for me to move it.
That's fine.
Yeah. Right?
want any kind of
Robert's
technical-
Rules of Order.
Technicalities.
That's because I'm the chair.
So why doesn't Jack do it? I'm gonna talk to him.
He also does other things, right, so. I'm the chair tonight.
Don't mess with the
Different rules with a different rule.
Okay, all right, I could, never mind, that's fine. I can make a reference to current situation.
What?
reference to it.
How about those Red Sox, huh?
All right, I'm going to read this because we're definitely, this is at 7:05, right? All right, 7:05. All right. All right, it's past 7:05, and we have our next hearing. In accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice is hereby given of the intent of Lou Petrosi, Wall Street Development Corporation, to amend the bylaw order of conditions for the proposed redevelopment of degraded riverfront area, mitigate and manage invasive species, and creation of a walking path located at 7 Brook Lane, Union Square Village, within a 200-foot riverfront area in the 100-foot no disturb zone buffer. The application and plans may be reviewed at the Conservation Office, and the public hearing on the above matter will be held in person at Walpole Town Hall in the FinCom room, I guess that's what this is, February 12th, 2025. That's in the past. This is continued. All interested parties are requested to be present. So, representing the applicant?
Thank you. Paul McManus from Ecotech. Mr. Petrosi is not here tonight. Had to be two things going, and we were hopeful that we had this in hand. If you recall, this is a proposal for doing a walking path, and then kind of developed into, we're gonna do some mitigation invasives along the path, and then at the last meeting, there was discussion about that expanding. If you remember, there's what I refer to as kind of the neck of the property that reaches out to Union Street. So we have revised that protocol to the path is shown in the plan, but we specified that the particular layout will be determined in the field. Basically work around trees, if there are any clumps of native vegetation, that, you know, those would be avoided. So the, you know, just to remind you that that layout is a little bit, you know, it's intended to be a little bit flexible in that regard. And then, this plan is not colored, but, maybe real quick.
Yeah, we're trying to see if we
Color on it,
had the
and
PDF of the one with,
It's attached to what I emailed today.
oh, the plan? Oh, I did, that was, yeah, I didn't get up onto the website. That's,
Yeah, that's,
when you emailed at 3 o'clock?
yeah, so essentially we've, and what I'm calling the neck,
But that will-
that whole area, we propose to go in there and selectively deal with the invasives. There's a lot of bush honeysuckle, and then in that area in particular, there's a ton of bittersweet on the fields. So the proposal is to go in and for the bittersweet, that would be cut and treated. We don't wanna try and get it out of the trees, it gets really entwined in the trees, but cut it out. And then, excuse me, treat with a cut and dab technique, anything that can't be mechanically removed. And then we've proposed 100 shrub plantings and then herbaceous seed mix. Landis and I had a little communication real late in the day. I identified an area, a 10-foot wide area along the brook, along that neck, which I label as, what I call it, the brook planting zone, where of the 100 plantings, I had suggested that there be at least 40 in there. Landis had suggested maybe that should be more concentrated there.
I'm sorry to interrupt, because the 60, the remaining were going along the path?
Along the, what I'm calling the shoulders of the path. Correct. So again, there's no magic to that, you know, to either number, frankly. So that's, you know, initially Lou had proposed 60 shrubs. I kind of twisted his arm and told him I thought it should be at least 100. So we did change that to 100 in total. How they get allocated is, you know, is certainly up for discussion. There's no, you know, I don't think there's any particular right answer there.
All right, Landis, do you want to make some comments?
So in my report, I had brought up some comments that were pretty much already addressed. So one was that the removal of the trees should be avoided when plotting the path. So we can put in the conditions that the path be plotted with the conservation agent. and that the invasive vegetation removal shall be supervised by a person or company with proven experience in invasive plant removal, and that's in there. Then, once the invasive vegetation is removed, mitigation planting should go in no later than the following growing season as recommended by the invasive species professional. That language was included as well. Then, yeah, I think in the Ecotech report, it said 60, but it also said 100, so I just want that to be consistent to 100. And then just if mostly in that neck near the river, if by chance one of the trees had to be taken down because it was so wrapped up in the vines or something, that a red maple be planted in its place. I think McManus put, if it's 4 inches or greater and they have to remove it, then it should be replanted. That's fine. And then the size of plantings, which I think Mr. McManus clarified, it's just, I was going by the New England, the New England catalog, New England Wetlands catalog, which they have 18 by 24 inch, and then they have, I think, 2 to 3.
Yeah, I had said minimum 24-inch height or
Yeah.
spread. Landis was questioning that about kind of what I meant by spread.
Was the
And, right, because
basal area.
sometimes, and Douglas blueberries, I find from the nursery, do this in particular. You can have one that's not quite 2 feet tall, but is this big around and is actually pretty vigorous. So I like to use the term 24-inch height or spread. That's what I meant by that.
And that's fine. I just didn't want sprigs or, sometimes it's just like
No,
these
we don't
little
want
things that,
Yeah, we don't want the
no,
little
we don't want
things.
those. You just want to keep on planting them. Then I was suggesting no alteration bounds or plaques with just indicating the non-degraded riverfront area. Add invasive monitoring and removal for 3 years. I think that was included. And add invasive species report by invasive species professional. That was added. And then were the bounds added, actually? Well, we can put that as a condition. Oh, and then I did include in my report that the commission requires security for the plantings and the monitoring of the invasive species. And I did email that to Mr. Petrosi, and he didn't push back on it, so I'm assuming he's okay with
I
it.
didn't, on the security, I didn't comment one way or the
No.
other. I figured if that's something the commission's gonna do, that's what you're gonna do.
Right, and he didn't push back on it either, so we can do that.
And
It
he's not
is,
here.
it is in the bylaw that the commission is allowed to do it, and it's probably not gonna be that much, but it just helps with if there's, yeah, it just helps. So we can work on that, how much that would be. I would suggest the condition. So those were my comments. I know this is, early on, we talked about additional degraded riverfront area. And there is a condition, which I think I read last time in the bylaw, that said that all the man-made material had to be picked up on site as a condition. So that has to do anyways. But I think that I'm in favor more of the removing the invasives near the river and putting in new native plants. Again, it's kind of a crapshoot with invasive species removal.
Yeah. All right, I have one comment and 2 questions. I like this proposal a lot better, now that some serious invasive problems are going to be dealt with. I think that's good, and I like the way this is proceeding along. Is Ecotech involved with removing the remaining dumping stuff on that property, or is that someone else?
We've not been asked to do that.
Oh, okay. But that is certainly part of it, because you wouldn't want to be working away in that area and then have to go back in and
That's
and
very good
remove
point.
stuff.
I
Like if you planted some blueberries and there was some bricks lying in there. So I hope that gets coordinated. And then, so since we don't usually have a security deposit on things, what is the procedure? Do we ask around for different quotes about what it could be?
So,
Or-
I would suggest we put it in the condition that it should be, that the commission should receive the security as agreed upon, prior to starting work. And I know it's usually Carl Engineering Department that puts together bonds or
Okay.
securities for them. I did, one of the things that I did was go to the New England Wetlands catalog and see how much each of these shrubs were, and start calculating that. So then we would just need to kind of calculate planting them and having a company who is versed in invasive removal
Was that
and
Ecotech?
monitoring.
Is that you? Is Ecotech the one that's gonna be doing the invasives?
We would be overseeing it.
Oh,
I mean, we wouldn't be digging holes, it'd be a
Right, right.
landscape contractor, but we would be overseeing it.
okay. All right,
So I talked to Carl about doing
yeah,
that.
Thank you.
okay. Al, do you have any comments?
No,
Medio?
When is the sequencing of this? Is there a timetable? When, at what?
The hope is if it got approved, the hope would be to do it, this spring. You know, you really wanna go and get the plants before they go to seed. So I spoke to Lou about this, and he's anxious and willing to go right at it, do the removal before things go to seed, and then also get the plants in the ground in the spring before it gets hot. To that end, I guess I would ask, if you do, it sounds like you are gonna request require some sort of security. I would ask that there be kind of some provision for, once the plants get in the ground, that you request that you don't need security for the whole project once they're in the ground. You perhaps might need something if a certain percentage die, but where the work hopefully will be done pretty quickly, that you don't need the whole security for the whole monitoring period. I'm not sure exactly how you would structure that, but that seems reasonable to me.
All right,
So I think the way I understand usually with landscape plants is whatever landscape company or the nursery you buy, they have some kind of, some kind of guarantee or something that once you buy them and you plant them as they're supposed to be planted, that they're good, usually good if they die off or something, isn't it?
They typically will warranty
Warranty,
plants for a
that's the word I
year.
was looking for, thanks. For what?
For 1 year.
For a
That's-
year.
That's, I've heard that a couple times.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think they're a requirement, but that seems typical.
I mean, I think I reached out to the applicant to get a number from him, and then I was gonna reach out to the town engineer and work on the numbers, and we'll agree what number makes sense between the applicant and us.
What number?
What? Yeah, how much the security should be. Well, I'll work with Lou and I'll work with
I
Doug.
mean, for the plants and for somebody's out there who presumably would be the same people doing the removal as the plantings. When they're mobilized out there for the plants, we're talking 100 plants, and then to put them in the ground would be, I don't know, shooting from the hip here, several $1,000s.
Yeah, so I sent Lou an email saying, give me a number, so we'll see what he comes up with.
I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
see
it's
that.
okay. So if he comes up with a number, and then I'll touch base with my resources, and we'll come together and agreed
Oh,
amount
okay.
number,
All right,
so.
I'm sorry, I missed,
that's
I missed that,
That's
I
okay.
didn't see the question.
I think when I calculated from New England Wetlands out in South Hadley, it was something like $1,300 for, $1,300, 1,300 for the plants.
For the plant stock,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for the plant stock, sorry.
Right, but then obviously there's a cost to put.
Right, to plant them and then I think there should be some monitoring that we assure that it's gonna continue.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll,
Yeah, so if you wanna just touch base with him and if you wanna get me a figure. then-
okay.
All right, anything else in media? Okay, Doug?
In the, in the proposal, there's a statement that all cuttings and pulled plants should be incinerated. Is that gonna happen right on site? The burning of these?
I'm not sure. I don't know what, I know where I live, my household trash goes to an incinerator. I'm not sure what happens to, what the options are here. But, you know, there's real great availability of waste energy incinerator is where things can go in my area. And they don't, as a general rule, they don't wanna take, you know, yard waste, for example. But for something like this, I would propose to bag it, and do that.
Yeah, 'cause I think there'd be a concern if it was incinerated on
Yeah,
site.
yeah,
How
so-
do you protect the fire from getting away?
Right, and also a concern if it's just brought over to the town compost, or to some compost site. That would be also a big concern. So is that something you could oversee? I mean, you're overseeing this, and you could,
You did
Say-
write in your report that all cuttings and pulled plants should be incinerated.
right, so following through and making sure that,
Okay, I would,
I think our stuff goes to the Wheelabrator plant in Walpole. It used to, anyway. Anything else, Doug?
That was it.
Okay, Bailey?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, one more comment from me. Since we're really, really getting into the time when things should go into the ground, then really remaining trash has to be immediately picked up. Otherwise, it's gonna really mess with the growing season. You know, you're trying to get things into the ground so, another thing to mention to Lou, I think.
okay.
Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to plant.
I'll,
When you need
I'll
to.
Put some pressure on that.
Yeah, that's what we do. Okay, so,
So you can just conclude a condition that all the man-made materials shall be removed from the site prior to.
prior to planting, and that
Planting.
it not hold up the planting, because we're kind of in the season. Right, anything else? Right. Would someone out there like to move to close this? Oh, great,
Second.
okay. All in favor? Aye. All right. Is there anything we should do before approving this?
So you just closed the public hearing?
Yeah, we did,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, do you have a comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying anything, but I'd like to say a few words, you know?
Oh.
Because everything seems to be a done deal anyway, so, but I'd just like to say a couple of things.
Oh, my God, I'm sorry, though, come and say something. No, that was wrong of me to not ask.
Like I said, it's, everything's a done deal, so.
It's
no
not a
point
done deal,
arguing.
sir.
I-
It was a mistake. It's not a done deal.
Right, right.
Well, I just have a few questions about the layout. I'm looking at the plan, all I'm seeing is proposed walking trail meandering through existing trees. So basically, this trail will be all at the discretion of Wall Street Development, no oversight of how he does it?
Well, go ahead.
Go.
Sure. What I had written is that, if the commission wanted to, we would actually flag a route out there, and then, and frankly, I expected it, we'd flag a route and then walk it with Landis and make any adjustments, and, you know, before actually doing any physical work.
Yeah, because right now, my property line is parallel to the proposed walking path, and I know there's one large tree there, so there's no way it can be straight.
Could you actually put your name in, tell us your name? He didn't tell us our name.
William Yusevich, 201 Union Street,
She's on the right going out.
parallel to the straight
Yeah.
section.
Yep.
And basically, just a blue line. It's not, there's no distances, so I have no idea where it's going in reference to my property line. So I don't know how much vegetation is gonna be taken out.
Well, it would certainly not be over the property line. We have, we get it, we get the boundaries surveyed by there's good survey control out there, obviously, for the construction. So, we'd know exactly where the property line is. With respect to the big tree that you mentioned, that's precisely the sort of thing that, we don't have all the trees plotted on the plan. So that's precisely the reason why we say that the path would meander to get around, that tree and the others.
Okay, so under the request for minor modification, you say it's not intended to remove any vegetation with a diameter greater than 4 inches, but you're not saying that's not totally true if you do see some trees that you will remove?
Well, the intent is not, Landis kind of picked up on that and said, well, put in a provision if, for whatever reason, a tree does come out, there's a provision for replanting, 1.5 to 2 inch caliper red maple. That's, we have that in there. I've walked it, I don't think that there's any place, where there's, for example, a real thick row of trees all the way across that we can't get through. I don't remember seeing anything like that, but again, at Landis's request, we put in a provision for planting a fairly substantial sapling for each and any tree that might be removed.
And just also, I'm sorry, to answer your question, so one of the conditions I've recommended to the commission is removal of trees shall be avoided in locating the path. Removing invasive herbaceous vines and shrubs. So I don't foresee any trees being removed for that path, other than, the only issue was when you're coming, the portion that you're closest to the river where you're going out to Union Street, some of the trees in there are just so wrapped up in vines and look very decrepit, like almost that they may come down if you start taking the vines down. So in that instance, I think we would maybe make a judgment to take it down and plant a new tree.
Well, you say they're decrepit, that's probably the entire length of Pickerel Brook, probably the entire length of Trapple Brook. I think there's invasive species everywhere, so.
So the intent is not to take trees down. Absolutely, the intent is not to take trees down. The intent is to take out the invasives and to put the path in where there's invasives.
Okay, I guess probably wrap it up, but just looking at the high density of this development, I'm kind of guessing this is not going to be used as a walking path. This is just going to be probably a dog park. So, and all this talk about, all these plantings and everything, so I think they're going to have a difficult time when surviving when all the dogs start walking, running around here, but whatever. All right, like I said, I think this is a done deal anyway, so no point arguing about it.
So that, the issue of dog waste was brought up at the last hearing. That was a concern of mine. I didn't want it to just be a dog bathroom. So there's a proposal for bags and stations where people can put their waste.
Not to put down any dog owners, but if it's like 20 degrees out in nighttime, I'm sure they're not gonna be too looking for everything. So, whatever. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for the comments. All right, so,
So the dog waste protocol
Yep.
as submitted shall be followed.
yep. Which probably has to become part of the homeowners association responsibility, which is a whole different thing, right? Someone's got to,
Shall be followed and included in the homeowners.
right.
documents.
Yep. Yep.
And HOA.
All right, so we all set? All right, would someone like to move that we are going to accept this project?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so what do we have for our next one?
Excuse me, Maurice, I made a couple paper copies. This, Noel, do you want them?
Yeah, I have one.
I have several.
Should I hand them out? Give me one more.
I just realized when I got up, that I was sitting with them, so I don't know.
Okay.
I have this, and I have this too,
Okay.
if you want.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have Quail Run next.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, okay, we're gonna sign something. Okay, so, our next hearing. In accordance with the Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw, notice is hereby given of public hearing for the intent of Leslie Lincoln Trustees Davison Family Trust to construct proposed Quail Run subdivision of 3 single-family dwellings and proposed roadway with associated gradings, utilities, and stormwater management located at 1263-1271 Washington Street, altering 40,000 square feet or more of land. The applications and plans can be viewed at Town Hall. Public hearing in the above matter was held in person January 22nd, 2025. This is continued, beginning at 7:30. All interested persons are requested to be present. Contact the conservation agent with questions. All right, so representing the applicant,
Dan Marican with Legacy Engineering.
okay, you want to give us a presentation?
Sure. This is pretty straightforward. I presented this to you last time. This is a land disturbance permit, no wetland resource areas. Existing house up front, a proposed private way-style road, and then two lots. So the only things that we talked about at the last meeting were Landis asked that signs be added at the rain gardens indicating that they were stormwater management systems, which we included on the plan. And there was a discussion about changing the plantings for the 3 rain gardens to eliminate any reference to trees and just having shrubs and herbaceous. So that's all been done. I made a number of other changes. They're all technical in nature from the town engineer based on what's going on with the planning board, but nothing that really changes with respect to stormwater management or erosion control or anything like that. And Landis would like us to add a guardrail along here with some signage indicating that this is a water quality swale, which we have no problem with.
What sheet are you on?
I am on sheet C-4.
Okay, next one, next one.
So there's a proposed water quality swale along the edge of the road. Landis recommends a guardrail with signs that it is a water quality swale, which is fine. We'd ask that you consider maybe including that as a condition of approval, and then I could get a revised plan into Landis. Aside from that, there's really no big change.
Okay.
Can you just go over the sequencing plan a little bit? So it's currently a flat, untreed site?
Yeah, let me dig up the existing conditions plan. This is the existing conditions plan, so existing single-family home with an existing driveway, and this whole area all the way back to here there are some trees and shrubs in there, but it's basically a yard. It's lawn, it's grass. The back area here along the slope is treed, but for the most part, this portion of the site, there's trees around the sides, but the whole interior of the portion is somebody's yard presently. So they'll have to get in, obviously, and they'll have to do the road construction first. And then they'll build the stormwater management systems with the rain gardens. These 2 rain gardens would go in with the road right away. This rain garden is devoted to the house on Lot 3, so that would be built when the house on Lot 3 is built. These other 2 would go in right away. And that's pretty much it. We have an erosion control plan. We have a SWIP included in the stormwater report. We have the SWIP outlined on the plans on the erosion control sheet.
So there's not much concern about managing stormwater during.
Yeah, the whole site's sand and gravel. So I'd be surprised if you get any runoff coming off the site. Soils are really permeable.
All right, other comments, Landis?
No, I think Dan pretty much covered everything.
Good.
Yeah, my main concern was, we've had lots before where rain gardens are proposed and then some years down the road, they're not rain gardens anymore, so.
Sure.
Just wanted to make sure the homeowners knew that and understood. what-
Yes, if you include that as a condition, then we can make sure that, obviously, the deeds for the lots don't get drafted for quite some time, but if it's a condition in there, the lawyers will pick up on it and include it in the deed.
And I heard you mention plaques for the rain gardens.
Yeah, we have,
Okay, what do they typically say on them? Because we haven't.
I have it says stormwater management system. I could change that if you want to say rain garden. I don't know if the homeowners would know what a rain garden is, but
They know how to Google. I mean, actually, I was just talking about this with Landis today, that maybe we're going to see more and more rain gardens and how to handle a rain
You
garden.
are, yeah,
Okay, that's really interesting. So it'd be nice to sort of have some sort of standard thing that we say about it.
protocol, yeah.
Yeah, so
The sign could say rain garden, that's not a
it
problem.
could, yeah, should be maintained
It
as
could
a,
say, yeah, rain garden, and then below that, stormwater management system, that's fine.
something like that, yeah, yeah. And then, of course, it will be in the deed. All right, good, that's it, thanks. Al?
No, I have no comments.
Okay, Medio? Okay, Doug?
No questions.
Okay, Bailey? All right, is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment?
There's no audience.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
Audience of one.
A terrible faux pas, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so would someone like to move to
So
close the
moved.
hearing? Aha, want to second it? Okay. Emilio, thank you. All right, all in favor of closing the hearing? Aye. 500. All right, so discussion about anything particular that,
Right, so we will have a condition just stating that the signs saying rain garden, stormwater management system on site in perpetuity, that there's the guardrail and the plaques on the guardrail indicating water quality swale, and that the rain gardens are in the deed, so
okay.
will include. So usually, put in a pre-construction evening, so we can just go over it
Sure.
beforehand. So this is this is a land disturbance permit.
Right,
Signature page.
all right, so would someone like to move that?
I'll move it.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. Aye, all right, 500.
Thank you for your time.
And what we have next is a discussion, not a hearing. And it's concerning the Byrd Middle School.
You guys were all in the hall, huh?
That's why we didn't want to disrupt everything here.
There you go, Al. So,
You have a plan that
Yep.
looks like this.
yep,
Okay. whoever speaks, if you can just speak in the microphone because it's recorded.
We don't usually see them ordered like this. All right, so this is a discussion, not a hearing, so who would like to start with what we're discussing?
You guys want to open it up about the what of the project?
Whoever speaking has to speak in the microphone.
And say who you are, of course.
Matt Barnhart from Tappe Architects. So this is kind of an extension of the middle school project. We are doing some field work kind of along East Street. Kind of the quick summary is we are adding some parking along the edge of the street, which is work that the DPW is doing. And then kind of beyond that is the work that Fontaine is doing. There's new fencing going up along East Street. There is new dugouts going in. So there's new dugouts going in on the JV baseball field and the varsity softball field. There is a bunch of pavement going in to kind of make there's going to be a new sidewalk along East Street, along the parking, and then pavement inside the fence to kind of make everything kind of accessible. So there's pavement going around the dugouts. There's a pad for bleachers at both the JV baseball field and the girls varsity field. There's a shared dugout between the two fields, between JV and the varsity softball. We also have a new batting cage going in. There's a place for new press boxes, which will be provided by the town. It's not part of the scope of the project right now. The pavement kind of links up with the existing pavement that's already installed from the middle school. So there's existing sidewalks that are coming in from the East Street Drive and then also along the walking path. New batting cage going in, and then some civil scope and electrical scope. We're extending the existing retention basin to capture the water flow that's already kind of there from the swale coming along that walking path. And then another catch basin / drain kind of along the East Street Drive. New bullpens for both fields. And I think that's, for the most part, kind of the majority of the scope.
Okay, could you just clarify something here? Because we have two different plans here. One of them shows a field kind of way out off of the plan that we're looking at right here. Is that included? So we've got a baseball field, some kind of a field, then we've got this baseball field.
So this is the existing varsity baseball field here.
Okay,
This is the existing varsity softball field here. And this is the existing JV baseball field here. So for the most part, we're not touching the fields at all. Existing fields remain. It's only kind of the bullpens, the batting cages, seating areas, and then a little bit of pavement up here off of the path that already exists. So there's a walkway going over to where the press box will be, and another walkway into the dugout to make it accessible.
okay, good, because we were confused last time. We were like, proposed field improvements. We were like, aren't there fields already? Okay, and we were just completely thrown off. So what you're really doing is we got fields, as we always did, and you're adding some access to them.
Correct. So up
And
here,
yeah.
there's a pad for a new press box, some walkways going in here.
Yeah,
For the most part, everything else here is already complete and existing to remain. The
So-
majority of the work is all down here along East Street.
right, where people are parking in the street right now. Okay, and then we were kind of thrown off, is it 65,000 square feet, 63,000 square feet? That sounded like a humongous amount to us, but does it all kind of add up once you've done the?
I can speak to that. Josh Soares with project civil engineer. So the number that was referenced in the letter by my colleague Marissa, that's actually encompasses the entirety of the field. So the original approved drawing, this was considered existing site area to remain, where we weren't proposing any stormwater improvements within this area. that increase in impervious area. If you recall, there's almost an existing low point in the southwest corner of the field, which eventually kind of overflows and drains to existing catch basins. From what I understand, back in 2022, with the original permitting of the project, there were concerns about the capacity of the drain mains in East Street. The project worked closely with the town through the land disturbance permitting to make sure that our new site development significantly improved and mitigated the stormwater runoff into East Street. So what we've done now is actually in this new condition is we are going to take that existing depression in the southwest corner and expand that and treat that as a real functioning infiltration VMP, almost essentially converting it from probably just a compacted, depressed field area to a bioretention basin essentially. And then that will overflow to East Street. So that's been designed obviously to mitigate and offset the increase in impervious area, reduce the fuel rates, even from the original proposed conditions.
So we're discussing whether this is a minor modification,
Right. Being reflected in the as-built, major meaning they need to file for an amended order
Right.
of conditions.
So what's your impression now?
Well, okay, I have a question. Last meeting, we were looking at the wording in some of this, and we didn't know whether you were treating it as existing grass or whether you were going to put artificial turf. Now, I hear you say tonight that the existing grass is going to stay, and that eliminates the drainage problems that you'd have with artificial turf. Okay, so in that context, I think this is a minor change.
And just to throw in some context, I apologize. I put you on the agenda for last meeting, then realized that you wanted to be on the agenda for tonight, so that was my mistake.
So we had a-
They just quickly looked at it and then we.
No, we had a lively discussion with in their absence.
They quickly
That's what
looked
we
at
had.
it.
That's we were ready for you. Okay, Emilio, what do you think, Emilio?
I just had a question about that. You said that depression in the corner, that's acting as kind of a collection. You're gonna make that an established,
Yeah, exactly. Yep, so there's currently the conveyance channel along that southern edge. It's a very shallow depression.
Right.
It pretty much is just, instead of a closed drainage system, connecting pretty much the overflow from the entire site development where the new middle school is. It's just daylighting, traversing west, and currently it overflows beneath the sidewalk via a bunch of connections that we require a modification to kind of that connection point with some small diameter PVC pipes with a new level spreader outfall. And then, yes, we will be expanding to the maximum extent that we can between the new curb line that the DPW is doing in East Street and between the new walkway with the fields.
because I
So
draw,
the extent of the basin is tough to see. It's shown in green about to this extent. And then anything up gradient, this is actually a portion of landscape that's also graded to drain. So essentially, the site grading within the new paved area is so that the new sidewalk, the new paved area to the east will kind of naturally channelize through this landscape channel and into that new basin.
because I drive by it every day, and I noticed the last big rain, it was pretty full there. So how much bigger is it gonna be than it is right now?
So I know the calculated volume beneath the overflow, so the intent is, again, treat it like a real basin. It's gonna have an area drain overflow with 1 foot of ponding, 1 foot of freeboard, and I do have that. The volume below the outlet is almost 3,000 cubic feet, and the total system volume is 7,600 cubic feet, and that would be before overtopping under that emergency scenario and into East Street.
Okay. And along the path, the walking path, you said that there's the flow, it flows down beside the path, and then it goes into that?
Yep,
Yeah.
it'll be conveyed via like these very shallow PVC pipes under the walkway and then just directly into the basin.
To that basin there. And the
As
overflow,
it does today.
okay, and the overflow of the basin goes to the storm
Yes.
drains?
Yep, it connects to
the street,
I'm sorry, I can't remember that cross street, but.
Okay,
across East Street to little side street.
okay, all right. No
Okay.
questions?
Doug, question?
No questions.
Okay.
No questions.
Okay, so are actual parking spaces being added, or is it just pedestrian ways?
I think there's 11 parking.
Oh, okay, so I didn't see,
parking spaces, there's 11 parallel parking, I think, along the streets.
oh, okay, oh, okay,
So basically, we're taking the parking that's already there, that's kind of not designated, and kind of pushing it in a little bit to get people off the road. because
yeah,
When you park there, you know it's,
Hmm.
cars are flying past you, and
right,
you gotta watch your door and getting out of it.
Right.
right. Okay,
Right, and what I've noticed is that little depression has actually worked pretty well, but if it's improved and enlarged with, you know, the larger flash storms that we had, and will continue to have, that's a benefit. And I see the paving of those parking areas a benefit too, because it, you know, people pull off the shoulder there and it gets very muddy and they track mud onto the street, so that's gonna be an improvement as well.
yeah,
I know the town engineer has seen this plan. He did not provide a letter for tonight. Meaning if he has any in additional tweaks or comments, that I'm sure he would get them to you. I'm sure if he has an opportunity.
We've been working with Carl and everybody to try to figure out parking and everything else.
He had some comment. I think. I'm sure you're working with them, so I don't have a problem with that.
all right, so what do we think? It's a minor modification, yeah, that's what we're thinking.
So I would just send you a letter that they're agreed there's minor modification, and it should be reflected in the as-built plan.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have 2 minutes, two sets of minutes, I think, or not? Do we, yes? Okay, which were sent around. Did people have a look at those minutes? So 1-8 is, you weren't there, that's right. Who else was it?
I was here 1/8, not 1/22.
Okay. So would someone like to move the 1-8 minutes?
I'll move them.
Okay, would someone like to second them?
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then is it 122? Okay, so let's see, who wasn't there? Bailey wasn't, okay. So who was there would like to, okay, need it, okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so that was 401, I think, for each of those, right? Yeah. All right, so certificates of compliance?
We have a request for a certificate of compliance for 83 Audubon Drive, DP 315-152. It's an old condition that just popped up with the title search. Everything looks fine. I did do a site visit and a review on near maps. The order didn't have a requirement for an as-built, but you can tell that it was just the house built on the lot. There's a lot of trees in the back. It backs up to the little wetlands adjacent to the new condo, well, I guess not that new anymore, condo unit there on the corner of Oak. So I don't have a problem with issuing
Okay.
a certificate of compliance.
Okay. Would someone like to move that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500. All right, so we'll sign that, and while we're signing it, do you want to say anything about 120, 126 South Street?
So 120, 126 South Street, I'll touch base with them on their plantings. They're still kind of in the process of doing site work. Not sure if they've even put the subsurface system in, but I'll go out and do a site visit and contact them about when they're gonna be doing the plantings. See if they can really get it in during this growing season, which I think we would prefer.
Yeah, since I was out there 2 days ago, it didn't look like they were anywhere near ready for plantings. So that should be interesting for Landis, because this has been on the agenda for quite a while. We're waiting for spring. And if you walk along the rail trail, they've got some work to do if they're gonna actually put plantings there. Okay. Do you want to say something about the conservation property, how it's going?
So the conservation property on North Street, I talked to Jimmy with Parks and Rec, and they're gonna try and get out there again next week and do a little more work on the site. So that should be continuing. And I did also talk to Drew and Carl about ordering the safety signs that are to go on North Street. I kind of wanted those to go in first, and then I'll also ask Drew to order myself the other signs that we talked about.
Great.
So that's my plan.
All right, and I think the final thing is, do you want to foreshadow anything about next meeting? Executive session or anything like that? Oh, was there something else?
So, next meeting is the 26th of March. We just have one hearing on the agenda for the land disturbance for Warwick Road. And then on the 9th, we have a couple of hearings on that. And I think, I was just recommending that we have an executive session to go over to touch base again on the appeal, the historic mill complex appeal, and the, what's going on with that, and how it affects the Lot 9 project that's coming to us on the 9th.
Would we be doing that before or after? Would we do the executive session ahead of time and then schedule things?
I think with something as we would usually do it after.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, okay, good. All right, so
And
it's,
then just, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Sarah was just reminding me, that I think you all got a copy. Should they get a copy of this? That's all. So the planning
Yes,
board is
yes, we did.
having a hearing on April 3rd on the zoning articles. They're listed in the sheet if anyone is interested in input. There's a floodplain protection overlay district zoning amendment, and that really has to do with the updated FEMA floodplain maps that were just issued. They'll be listed in the zoning article, and also some different requirements that has to go in there in order to comply with the new maps and requirements. Other than that, I don't think any of these other zoning amendments really have to do with the Conservation Commission. There are some revisions to the ADU requirements, which is accessory dwelling unit. So as of February, it's a by right that someone can put in a 900 square foot attachment to their house or freestanding building, which is an accessory dwelling unit. So they have to tweak the bylaw for that. We did get our first plan, which shows one, which will also be coming, I think, April 9th.
really? Okay.
And the only thing with that is like the Wetlands Protection Act fee schedule doesn't really include that, so they might have to do something about that, because it's not really a shed, it's not really, it's a single family house, it's not really a addition, so.
Right, and so it adds to whatever's going on with the septic system and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the septic system would have to be able, they either have to put a separate one in, with the sewer, if they want a separate line.
Oh, wow.
But like with, if they were adding a shed, then it would be just under the shed fee schedule. It's not really shed, it's
Yeah.
single family house, so.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
And would this addition include its own driveway as well? Would be more pavement, more impervious surfaces?
Probably, but I don't think it has to.
Yeah, sometimes you can't, right? I mean,
I don't, that's a part, you can't require that. So.
all right, is that it? Oh, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, these are in my report, so just Bird Machinery, so the Bird Machinery site, the Baker Hughes site at the end of 100 Napontet Street, they've been doing remediation for 15 years. So every year they send an annual report, and so this is just the notice for the annual report, and nothing has really changed. They're still just monitoring the groundwater.
All right.
And I think that's.
Would someone like to move to adjourn?
I
Oh,
don't know.
sorry, no,
Sorry.
no.
So just to go by my report, and the board comments, there was board comments for the zoning board for Roger Turner Trail. Do you want to put any other condition, any kind of comments other than that you guys have issued an order of conditions for that site?
What other comments should we give them?
I think just let them know.
Sort of a done deal, yeah, okay.
Well, they're still reviewing it. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, would someone like to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Would like to second it? All in favor? Aye, 5-0.